Now, let me ask you this. You were in the downed economy in 2008, was that?
Right.
You have a lot of experience. What is that downed economy from back then versus now? Is that relatable? I mean, I'm young. I don't know any of this, and I've seen the news and the media. I try not to pay attention to it.
Right.
But what do you think about the differences and also the similarities? What's going on, guys? It's Steven Mandak, your go-to guru for all things moving. And today we have our special guest, Joe Vaughn, aka Mr. JV Truckett.
Let's go, baby. See you, baby.
Good to see you too. Thank you for coming in. So, the beginning of the podcast, I kind of like to go over, certain things about your journey and how you got to where you're at now, and some of the upbringings that happened to get you where you're at right now.
Right. So, when you talk, just from the day one starting business, or
anything
background?
that has your whole background.
Gotcha.
When you got into business, how you got into business, was it by a fluke, or is that something that you want to go towards?
No, honestly, I kind of coming out of high school, I started sales very young. So watching the podcast, you did everything. Sales is everything, definitely. So when I was coming out of high school, I actually did a test, and this test told me that I would be good in real estate or something to do with basically being independent. And I had a hard time kind of taking instructions, and I wanted to be in control of my own money and my destiny type of thing. Very young, I remember at 17, 18, I can calculate money, and I did not like the fact that somebody can dictate where my money was. So I knew that I wanted to bet on myself. I didn't have a lot of mentorship or support in that area, so I started to research myself. So I started sales very young. So I got my first sales job, and it was just I was just like selling TVs and whatever it was, and it was things like Good Guys and Sears. And I progressively just kind of transpired. Then I got into wireless sales, and then I started researching real estate because that was a hot thing. This is before the housing crash and stuff like that, and that was a big thing at the time, which was mortgages and real estate. That was the first thing that put me on more of an independent track as self-employed, to where I can make a lot of money and not have to count on somebody to give me their instructions on what to do and everything like that. So I went to school and got my real estate license and stuff like that, and got certified to become a mortgage loan officer at the time. And that's where it took off. So from that point, there were a lot of entrepreneurs and people that were kind of opening up their own things. So I was just kind of finding my way and gravitating through there, learning who I was. I made a lot of money in that industry. It was great. It was like a vampire. I tasted blood at that time. I'm young, I'm 25 years old, I'm making $30,000, $40,000, $25,000 at a time. On a bad month, $15,000, you can't go back. Well, as you know, some of you guys might be too young, but we had a major crash at that time, which was the 2008 financial crash, which had a lot to do with mortgages. And that kind of sent me back into the drawing board because the industry was over at that time. It was over for a long time. I still had a lot of skills and experience from sales of actually working with some of the best salesmen. I'm talking about dogs. I'm talking about boiler room. I learned a lot from that industry because this was the time where you didn't really have a lot of internet, and you're really walking into an office with a room of 10 guys, and you're pounding the phone, 200 calls a day type of thing, or get your ass out of the office type of thing. And you learned a lot. So it turned me into a different type of animal. And also I was working with a lot of people who had money. So when you come from closing people that are giving you $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 or buying $500,000, $1 million homes and stuff like it raises your confidence level and also raises your skill level in regards of communicating with people. and you're also networking with a different type of clientele in regards of like the level of professionalism. Realtors, bankers, you're in a financial district, so you're rubbing elbows at the time. At the time with some of the best of them. And then after the financial crisis kind of hit, and I was just kind of weatherman around. I went to school, did some fun stuff. I had a bunch of money saved up, and did some things I enjoyed, music and some other stuff I won't talk about. But it was a good experience. But for some reason, I went back into wireless for what reason. I think the economy was still very shaky, and I already had a family and kids at the time. So I think I was working on my third child, and I needed something a little bit more stable. Although I had the experience in real estate and finance, I knew that it took some time to develop a pipeline again, which could take 2 years. My family needed money. So I went back into, which is now Sprint T-Mobile, and went back into that because a lot of guys I knew they were still making decent money at that time in the economy. You're making $8,000 to $10,000 or whatever like that, 6, 7, 8. That's still decent money back in those days. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't really what I wanted to land. I knew I had to go back into being independent, which mortgages gave me a sense of independence. And then I went over there and pretty much destroyed and brought everything that I learned and knew from my past, all the sales history, all the boiler room, all the great salespeople from wireless. It was just a collection of everything. And it was like I was like a kid. I was like a grown man. I was, like a kid on steroids in high school playing, a man in high school just smashing through people, just destroying things, breaking record some things that they never ever seen before, which I was accomplished. That's where we kind of met and built a beautiful journey between me and you. And that was good because what it did was that brought me a different level of structure. So what that did was mortgages didn't, the real estate industry didn't have a lot of business structure. You're self-employed when you're working for a broker type of thing. And you just kind of go out and get your client and you close the deal. But there weren't as many components in place in regards of business, you know what I'm saying? When we're talking finance, HR, marketing, brand, there's different components when you're running a business, which I hadn't realized yet. I was an ultimate hustler, an ultimate salesperson, but I didn't really understand business yet. So working with T-Mobile, Sprint, and rising to that, pretty much being a district manager at the top stores, being the number one guy in the nation for months, and just doing things that people never seen, it gave me a kind of sense of like false, like I'm the man. I was the man, but I was a man under somebody else's budget. Mm-hmm. We're talking a Fortune 500 company that has billions of dollars, that has billions of dollars in marketing, billions of dollars behind their brand. They have elite teams in regards of, everything to make sure that you can just focus in on this, which at the time is all I knew was sales. But I was also a team builder. I come from a sports background, like where I'm from, I'm a pretty known legendary guy in sports and stuff like that and played on some great teams. And so my whole life I played sports, football, basketball, it all, and type of thing. So that gave me a sense of understanding team, camaraderie, work together, let's build together, rah, 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 let's win. So that always helped me too in regards of management and leading because of the sports and me playing on some of the greatest teams in the area and being successful in sports how I was. I understood how to build a team. So with that experience, I was able to create great teams, pull diamonds from the rough, see talent where people didn't see talent at times, and motivate them and inspire them to be great and teach them things, as well as put the right people in place that were good at certain things. So that was that. That taught me a little bit about business because I had the different components. I had the HR, I had the operations manager, I had these different things. I'm like, okay, this is something a little different, It gave me structure, So after that, we did some legendary things together. Well, we crushed like some fun stuff, man, like some cool stuff in our days. And I remember a couple guys taking off. You were one of them, took off early, took off out of there, and got on your independent route. Once you got rolling, you got rolling.
Did my own thing, yep.
You were gone.
Out of there.
Out. Once you kind of found your lane and you were gone. And I was still kind of tied up in it. It's different. You guys are young. You guys are but I always respected you guys' drive and motivation and energy. So I was still in it for a while, and I kind of stuck on it. But knowing ultimately that I wanted to get back to independency.
So this is when you were, just to kind of make sure that we're all on the same page. You're now at this point. This is when I met you, right?
Right.
We were in sales. We were in cell phone sales.
Right.
Before that, you were doing, was it mortgages?
Yes.
And then before that, you were doing cell phone sales previously.
Previously.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. I was in cell phone sales as well too.
Right.
And the hustle. I mean, did you work in the kiosk too?
Definitely the kiosk. So the original cell phone place that I came from, I worked with some of the greats, Nico Rivera, JP de Guzman, like some of these guys that are entrepreneurs and small business owners around here, or well-respected business owners around here. We all started out together, Audrey Meneses and a lot of great, hustlers.
Right.
Hustlers,
Right.
savages, winners, that are doing great things today. Shout out to all those guys. Yeah, we started in kiosks, and it was kind of cool because this is the day and the time where we used to have to, you would sit in the mall and you would have to flag people down like you were hollering at a girl.
Yep.
And the good thing about this, how this transitioned in business later on down the line, because it tore down a wall of fear. I became fearless to be able to talk to anybody at any time, any place. Let's go. Let's go right now. And in the kiosk sales, you would have to flag people down. You would have to be able to be good within 2 seconds to get their attention. Whether it's your look, what you said, you had to have something very, very catchy to allure them. And that's what sales was back in the day. We didn't have the internet. We didn't have all these things that you can allure people in with
digital
marketing, with a promo video, and because you have 50,000 followers, people trust this, or you have 500 likes, so people trust to go in. You had to go in with just pure gut, energy, look, and game.
But see, here's the thing though.
Savage.
A lot of people that were in the cell phone kiosk that I know as well too, I'm sure you know them as well too.
Right.
They're in
Randy's and
they're in bigger companies now doing sales,
Right.
or else they're realtors, or else they're also business owners.
Definitely.
And from the very beginning, I think on my last podcast, I said about sales is everything.
It
teaches you everything. And I see, for me, I learned sales. I learned the game from you.
Right.
And I brought
Appreciate
that into, you taught me a lot when we're doing cell phones, and I brought all that into business. And without sales, you can't get business. You can't drive business. You can't motivate a team without your sales.
Can't motivate a team, right. Because sales is personality too. I think an individual can start a business and be successful without being great in sales, but you better hire a salesman quick. Because if your team doesn't believe in you, and you can't motivate them, you can't inspire them, and you can't get them to look, and you can't get them to tie into that dream and make it a part of them, then it's not going to go anywhere. And you need somebody with the level of energy, confidence, and game and understanding of conversation and communication, which is sales, to bring that to the table to take you to the top.
Exactly.
Sales we can draw a picture that looks beautiful, and people can be mesmerized by it, but that picture is going to sit there. But if somebody who's a salesperson, it comes in and he's inspired by it, he can take that picture and go make a couple $1 million or a couple $100,000. Like, this is awesome,
Exactly. And look at that guy who had the McDonald's guy,
Ray Kroc.
Ray Kroc. That wasn't even his idea.
Right.
He went ahead and took that idea and he sold it because the initial founders, they wanted to just keep it at one location, but he really believed in the idea and he sold it.
Right.
And he wasn't even the founder. It kind of comes along with tech companies as well too.
Right.
Tech companies, the CTOs, they create the company, but in order to really get it rolling,
that's a good example, because like you said, the tech guy's mind works like this, right? He's an engineer, so he's creative in a different way, and that's awesome and that's dope. But you got to have somebody that can bring it to life to the people.
Yep.
You got to have somebody that's going to make it exciting to the people.
Yep.
You got to, that can bring that level of energy that makes people say, I want in.
Yep.
Period.
And that's, it's either you, I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, do you think it's embedded in some people, or do you think people can be trained to be a killer?
I think that's a great question. And I think that some of my experiences with this is we just discussed a little while ago on me being able the ability to turn a diamond into what I'm trying to say, basically, find a diamond in the rough thing, okay? I think people can be trained. I think it requires a level of self-confidence and self-understanding. To be a great salesperson, you don't have to sound like everybody else. You got to kind of find your lane of what works. I've seen quiet closers. I've seen closers that had just this different style of closing. I think from my perspective, I'm a little older than you guys. We come from an era where you have to be very excited and very loud and very, upbeat and all that type of stuff, which works. There's a time and place for that.
That's the idea of a closer.
But there is a sweet spot, and there is a great appreciation for those silent killers who you really don't really hear, but know how to make it happen. So I think, once again, it requires a level of confidence in who you are and understanding the game. When you understand the game and you understand psychology and you understand how people work, you can get to them, and you can win. It's psychological warfare. It's not about who's got the loudest bark. It's not about who's got the shiniest thing. This guy can be dusty, but if he can walk grandma down the street and grandma loves him, she loves Bill, who doesn't have as nice as a car as you, but he just talks soft, and he's gonna walk past you, gonna look at you like, got you.
Yeah.
And you're like, grandma, let's go. I have A, B, C, D, E, and how can you turn this down? But Bill knows how to walk with her and talk to her in a certain different way. He knew how to listen to her.
Yeah.
He knew how to get her to let her guard down. He knew how to introduce himself to her for her to open up her ears. Mm-hmm. It goes in so many different ways, man.
Yeah, I agree with that. Sometimes people that are killers and closers, they don't know they're killers and closers until they're given the opportunity and given the chance.
The great story of Christina.
Yep, we had her when she's in cell phone
Christina
sales.
Flores.
Yeah, we didn't know that she was that great, and she got put in a position, and she was given a chance.
Do you mind me telling that story? That's perfect. Go ahead, keep going. What you're going.
Well, she was given a chance, and when she was given a chance, she rose to the occasion.
Rose to the occasion.
And she, I was a closer, but she was a closer.
This is for those who are getting into sales and actually who doubt themselves, who actually want to be a salesperson. And this is the person we're talking about. And the person we're talking about was not the ideal person that you would think would be a closer, who would be a savage, or would be a beast, or would be a dog. All the names that go along with being a great salesperson that has come along in the past. But this person had the desire to win. And they had an unspoken fire about them. An unspoken fire that nobody knew. And this person studied, and they listened. They were humble, they had humility, and they listened, and they learned. They learned, she watched, she read, she studied. And when we popped the gates, she was well prepared. Preparation is also key. Do your job. Go hard. Study, listen, be in there day and out, knock on as many doors as you can, make as many calls as you would, lose, fail. But this girl came out and she destroyed it for years on after.
She was number one. She was number one in the whole region. Maybe at some points of the time of the month or some months, she was number one in the nation.
Number one in the nation.
You would never expect that.
Never
from her.
expect it.
She was the sweetest
person, quiet, beautiful girl. If you ever see this, shout out to Christina Flores. You see us here now. We got mad love and respect for you.
Yeah, but that's, just to kind of go about that, then I guess you answer the question regarding, then yeah, they can be trained and they can be brought out.
They can be brought out, definitely. If they want to be brought out. Mm-hmm. You got to know if you want to do it, though. Don't sign up if you're not looking. This is something you got to look to want to be the best. You have to have something in you to say, I want to win.
Right.
I want to compete. I don't always believe in competition and everything, but sales, especially when you're in the beginning phases, you got to want to compete. You got to look at the next person and be like, I'm coming.
Right.
It's got to be a little bit of, grit in you.
Hey guys, if you really like this video, like, comment, and subscribe. This will help the channel grow drastically. Share this to 5 different people that you think can benefit from it. Now back to the video. Now let me ask you this. You were in the downed economy in 2008, was that?
Right.
You have a lot of experience. What is that downed economy from back then versus now? How is that relatable? I mean, I'm young. I don't know any of this, and I've seen the news and the media. I try not to pay attention to it.
Right.
But what do you think about the differences and also the similarities?
Let's start with differences. I would just say it's a new world and a new time.
In a positive or negative?
A little bit of both. I mean, I'm an ultimately positive person. I'm an optimistic person. There's a lot of negative. I would say the negative is more so on the naiveness of the world now. We have a different type of media in regards that would that feeds us stuff to keep us consuming. We had a little bit more of an honest world economic media. Back then I think a lot has changed, and that's been almost close to 20 years, 15 years ago. A lot has changed in 15 years. So I just think a lot more people is more naive because there's a little bit more greed in regards of consumerism. Like people, the big guys want you in. So it makes no sense for them to tell you the truth until it has to happen type of thing. So that leads to similarities. This looks a lot like 2007 and 2008. For the guys that are in their 20s and stuff like that, I was in my 20s, early 20s at that time, and there was somewhat of the same dream sold. Everything's okay. We're going to make these adjustments. And then it said, boom. Then it just, boom. One of the scariest things that pretty much happened, especially before the fact that, this was my profession. I went to school. This is what I plan to do the rest of my life type of thing, and everything being shut down. So I would suggest just to the regular people, to just the normal consumer, a business person, or small business owner, or anybody. This is the time to just educate yourself, buckle down, kind of tone back, be humble, and do what you got to do to survive. This is going to be one of the greatest chances for you to learn. This is going to be the greatest opportunity in your life. This struggle will turn you into something great if you keep the proper perspective and you work hard through it, and even if you fall, you try to sustain. You got it. If this is your passion, if you want to be a business owner, if you want to be an entrepreneur, or if you want to be a top salesperson, or whatever it is, this is the greatest time right now for you to become that over the next 2 years. You got to muscle this thing out. Whether it's you read the books, you go to the seminars, you network with the right people. You have to stay dedicated. You cannot quit right now for nothing, okay? And it might be some days where you cry. Things might get eliminated. Believe me, I've heard stories, people jumping off the roof. But if you can make it through and you can stay loyal to your dream and your goal, and sharpen your knives along the way, you will come out, and I think that you will be ultimately more successful than you probably can ever dream of in your life.
So
that's the mistake that I made when I was a kid.
The time and opportunity is now.
The time and opportunity is now.
Is that what you're saying?
The time and opportunity is now. It doesn't feel like that, and it doesn't seem like that, because you're going to lose. Your business is going to slow down. You're not going to be making as much money. We were on, let's just stay right there. Things are going to change so dramatically because we were a part of a bull market where things were very easy. There was so much money pumping into the economy. Everybody's cheering, rah, rah, who, pat yourself in the back. It was easy to start a business in 2017 and above and things like that. This is the time where we actually see who's really serious. Some of us are going to lose businesses. I'm one of them that pretty much almost lost everything, And we'll get to all that later. But people are going to lose, but are you going to get back up? You call yourself an entrepreneur. Most entrepreneurs lose 2 or 3 businesses, or a couple $1 million. I lost a little. I'm looking to lose $1 million. I'm looking to lose 10 million, because if I can lose $1 million to 10 million, that means I'm killing it.
What's that saying that they say? Billionaires lose millions,
right,
in order to get to a millionaire,
right.
And millionaires lost thousands to become a millionaire.
Exactly.
Because those learning lessons that you
exactly.
have, from losing tons of money, the way that you lose money and it burns, it stings, it hurts. That's one of the best lessons you can kind
Because
of
you
get.
went out there and you tried, and you went to go get it, and you failed. Pat yourself on the back.
But you learned.
You learned. You have a skill. You'll never forget it the rest of your life. I think that's what most people get because of the type of people we're surrounded around, man. They harp on failure more than celebrate you for taking that chance to go get it. Mm-hmm. So many people in the world, because of social media, oh, look, he tried and he failed. Well, what they should be doing is, you tried it. Let's go again. Get you back up. Get back up. Pick you back up. Not beat you up. But a lot of times people are like this because they don't have the balls to do it themselves. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. They're mad that you went and did it. You know, and they were watching. And they really wanted to do it themselves. So that's a whole different thing, you know. Surround yourself with the right people right now. Educate yourself. If you're really serious about what you're doing, don't give up. Even if you fall on your face and you lose everything, get your ass up and get up and go back after it and win.
Right.
Period. And every time you fail, and if you learn and you get up, you will become stronger and you will become more of a winner. Everybody's journey is different. Do not compare yourself. If it takes your friend 1 year, it might take you 5.
Right. Everybody has a different journey.
Everybody has a different journey, and you got to love that journey.
So let me ask you this. Right now, you know, I don't know if people watching this know that you have a moving company,
right.
Truck It Moving, yeah. and also what services do you provide there? I know you provide moving, but I think you also do a couple of other things.
So I went into a couple of different things, mainly residential local. Tapped in and did a little bit of out of state stuff like that. But what I had found during my journey was that at the height of of Truck It, it was easier for me to make money doing local stuff because because of the profit margins. You know, I can book 3 jobs in a day, 4 jobs in a day, each truck at the time. They can, even if they're small, they're averaging $700 to $1,000. That's the same thing as me sending somebody off, losing my whole team and they're going for 3 or 4 days. So I kind of and that was a lot more liability at time. I felt like the out-of-state thing for me. Mm-hmm. So the way that I was structured, it was a lot safer and profitable for me to stay local. Mm-hmm. One of the things I did was I basically co-started which was kind of fun, a cleaning company that would kind of go side to side with the moving thing. So what I would do was, I would offer move-out cleanings and market cleaning services every time I did a move, which actually was a pretty successful model. We kind of did a lot with that. We could have been a lot more successful, but I just think that the people who I was partnered with, we weren't seeing out. We couldn't really put it together right. So partnerships are important. Mm-hmm. Make sure that you guys are eye to eye and things. So and then I did hauling for a little bit. Did some hauling, but I think you said it to me. He was like, you might want to just focus on one thing right now, perfect one thing. And after you kind of said that, I went right into, I just said, let's just focus on moving type of thing. If a haul came, it came. It was a part of the services. So it was more part of the pitch. So meaning if I book the move, if we're prospecting and we're talking to the client, we're gonna ask them and offer them hauling services, or junk removal, which is AKA junk removal, or disposal services with them, along with the cleaning services. So I think in the end, what we were trying to do was create an ecosystem to where if we came in, we can touch 3 of the main things that we think people might have needed in the industry.
Which was moving, junk removal,
and cleaning. Right. Somebody's moving out.
Smart idea, yeah.
Right. So that's what we were trying to achieve with that.
Okay. Now, where are you at right now with the business? I know that the economy has changed drastically from the boom of COVID from end of 2020 all the way till last year. So many people moving, but then the market had to have a correction, right? You're very familiar with the corrections. How did that affect your business from then all the way until now? Let's start off when COVID happened, right? COVID happened. Shit hit the fan, and then where are we at today?
That's a great question. It has taught me a lot. So first of all, we're in the process of restructuring. Truck It is still around, and moving into a possible full relaunch by next year. Working on new branding, new marketing ideas. I'm a lot more educated now, so I'm approaching it from more of a business perspective and a long-term success goal versus just a young guy starting a business just hustling. And I'm sure we'll discuss that topic in between hustling and business. And I think that what we were discussing earlier, salespeople are hustlers, and hustling is great. But then you step into the business world, there's so many different other components that you have to consider and get skilled in to understand to be successful. So going back to that, there was a lot of success in trucking in the early stages because of me, the salesperson, the dog, the beast, the animal, to get on the phone and call and sell the brand and what it was. I had a really cool brand and had a really cool idea and made a lot of good money, okay? And what happened was, and because of the economy going so well, there's so much money flowing in. And San Francisco, we just happen to be in the best part to be doing business too. We had the tech boom going on in San Francisco. So you got people coming in and out of the world. They're going.
Throwing money.
Throwing money. People are moving left and right.
Not even worried.
Not worried. Now, mind you, I'm a growing entrepreneur. I'm a growing businessman. I'm studying. I'm learning, new things. I've been a part of different things. But now I'm on my own. I'm with my own money. With my own money, which changes things, which is technically called bootstrapping. Okay. So what COVID did was, we went on this kind of like, I'll call it like a false high because everything's booming. Anybody can kind of win.
Anybody. So many moving companies opened up and money was flowing in.
That doesn't make you a dog in business.
It doesn't.
Because everybody's winning. And what COVID did was, which was great, and like I said, I'm ultimately an optimistic dude, and I like to turn negatives into positives. It started bringing things in check. Now, COVID boosted a lot of, I made a lot of money during COVID.
I feel like everybody did.
Everybody made a lot of money in it, so it brought a lot of great business. But it also was a setup for the test of time of reality. Here comes, are you really, really, really good at what you do?
Boom.
Boom. So it went up, boom.
2020, I think last year, end of July, is what the whole, from my knowledge, from the whole moving industry in the United States, the Google search term for movers died down by like 30%.
Perfect. So diving back into that. So also what COVID did was it brought a transition in how business was done. So pretty much when we started, you started probably about 2 years, I had a year and a half before I took off. We worked together for some time. Shout out Clutch. They'll never said I was one of the original guys over here. Those guys got me into business. If it wasn't for Clutch, I wouldn't even be in the business, to be honest with you. These guys, kind of Randy and Steve, talked me into, and I'm here now. Great thing. What it did was it shifted business. So there was a thing we start off with, and we spend a lot of money, which was like third-party leads and things like that, right? Which you can depend on because there was a high amount of money moving in the economy. And when the economy is changing, technology is changing, these things are moving really fast. And if you're not a very intelligent, smart business person, you're not paying attention to the trends, to transition. And if you're not watching these things and you're not transitioning properly and you're not studying, you're not looking at the analytics, you're not looking at what the current trends is to be successful in business and even being creative on your own ways, trying things that other people are not doing, you will get left in the dust. Because what you would do is you're going to ride the easy train, but that easy train is going to stop at some point.
You got to adjust and adapt. You
have to adjust and adapt, and you need to be ready possibly 3 to 6 months before everything hits the fan. So you got to be studying, you got to be looking at, you got to be looking at certain things. You have to stay creative. You have to be looking at ideas to outbound, inbound to grow your customer base.
Right.
You got to be B2B. You can't rely on B2C. You cannot rely on B2C, especially when you're doing B2C, which is ads and third-party leads and all these things. You're setting yourself up for a trap because these things are controlled. And if the economy and the market start messing up, they're going to mess up too. They're going to sell you crap. So
we'll talk about, I think what we're referring to, a lot of people in the moving industry know about. There's Equate Media, Quote Runner, Yelp, Google Local Services. Those are paid ads, and sometimes the ads get sold or the leads get sold to multiple different companies. And it's very hard to compete with all of those leads because it's always a race to the bottom on who has a cheaper rate.
The cheapest rate.
You know? But back then in 2021, everybody was like, who cares what the price is? I'm just going to pay because there's so much more money flowing in the economy. But now is when you really have to tighten it up and really understand your business and really understand sales processes.
Definitely.
And that's what we were talking about beforehand.
Definitely. And that's where we're kind of transitioning, where we're saying that, hey, look, after COVID, what it did was bring out a different level of dog and businessman, because this brought us into a point of saying, okay, who's really serious and who really has their stuff together, you know, and who's actually going to make it. And that required a different level of commitment, confidence, motivation, desire, drive, and ambition to win. You know, a lot of people is going to throw in they're going to throw in the towel and quit because it stung so bad because they lost so much, or they built on this cloud. So I think it was excellent. I think it's great, for those who actually want to be great in the end. You're going to get up. You're going to learn. You're going to look at your mistakes. You're gonna go in and create new systems, SOPs. You're gonna look at your brand. You're gonna look at your sales process. You're gonna look at your marketing. You're gonna look at your finances. Maybe you were spending too much. Maybe you had bad partnerships. Maybe you didn't have the right team for the for professionalism to sell what your brand is actually advertising online. There's so many different things. But it's that's what I think about it. It pushed us into a position to where only the strong can survive.
Yeah, and I've heard that from many people, that in order for your business to even grow and sustain, you got to do 2 times more of the work. I know that there's some businesses out there that are struggling, and a lot of them are trying to figure out what to do, and a lot of them don't know what to do. They don't know how to pivot, and they're trying everything. Yeah, and they're struggling. But again, only the strong will survive. And
Simple as that, pivot.
Yeah, if they really want to survive and they really have the desire and they really want to make it and they got skin in the game, they're gonna do it.
They're gonna do it. Even if you fall, even if you almost fall, you fall to the bottom, But if you can stay in the game still, you'll learn. And I think the key word you said is pivot. I think one of the main things that I learned through this is you got to keep your eyes, like I always say, you got to keep your head on a swivel. So you can bring that same concept into business. And I think now things are moving even faster in regards to as technology gets more smarter, advanced. I think, we might have been, back in the days, we might have been in a 5-year process that you have to look at keeping your head on the swivel, adjusting. And now we move into a 3-year. I think now we're in a day and age where you have to be looking at things at a yearly basis of like what's working and what's not. You have things coming in, AI, you have all these different components that come in that's changing how technology works. And in order to be successful after this next curve, I think that you have to have somebody in place who's constantly looking at what can we do to stay ahead of the curve?
Right. That makes
Constantly.
sense. Yeah.
Constantly, from 6 months to a year. And I think it's going to get even shorter, because the world is getting smarter.
I think, me personally, we look at new things to implement into the business every week, every month, right?
That's good.
And we take a look at what's working, what's not working. Whatever's working, we add more money to it. Whatever's not working, we cut it off quick. Right? Because, again, the word that we're talking about, pivot. Always got to pivot.
You got to pivot. And right now is even such a sensitive stage because the world is going through a transition. When you go through an economic, from my experience from being, from going through it before, the world is trying to figure itself out right now. So once we really go through this, the hardcore recession part, there's going to be the greatest minds in the world coming in to come up with new ideas and new business plans and new ways to do things and stuff like that. So we're going to see so much stuff transition in the next 3 years that it's going to be crazy. So it's going to be fun too if you're in for the the ride and you enjoy that type of ride. If you don't, you might just
got nothing but time.
Right.
I got nothing but time. Now let me ask you this: you have been an entrepreneur, your whole life. What has been your biggest obstacle that you've overcame from the very beginning? Let's talk about the number one obstacle.
The number one obstacle, I think for me, and this is personal, and I'm sure this is probably gravitates to some people, is myself. You know, myself. Allowing myself to go through different phases and saying, I'm worthy, I can achieve this, I can take it there. You know, depending on what walk you come from, everybody doesn't come from a walk that says that you deserve or you should have, or, you know what I'm saying, are you worthy, or you can have this level of success in regards of money, at all type of thing. So breaking through different psychological barriers, you know, being a young ethnic kid, colored kid coming up, you know, and then walking into mortgage and real estate at the time, and you're walking in, and if you don't come from nothing, and you see these guys with these big suits and these fancy cars, and you come up from something poor, you know, it could be like you're a timid dog, you know, with a back, you're like a chihuahua with a pack of wolves, but then convincing yourself that you're a wolf too, to kind of transform like the Hulk from a regular man and just, I can do this.
Right.
You know, and then getting out there and doing it.
Right.
And then taking it to another level. And then taking it to another level. So for me, the psychological part was first for me. Always telling myself, let's go. You can level up. You can go here, you know. Because I think a lot of people have fear of success, you know, based on all different types of things, whether they're a woman, whether they're this, or whether, you know, a man, you know, whatever. So psychologically being able to tell yourself and understand, I mean, we all bleed the same thing. You got 2 hands, I got 2 feet, you got 2 eyes. Only thing is different is how we think. That's it. From the person down the block. So that person that's killing it, they just got a different psychological process. So you got to tap in with that. So in order to get yourself ready for war and entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
Sales.
I totally agree. I mean, me personally, I have that psychological warfare against myself because I always want to be the best at anything that I do. I want to take everything that I touch, everything that I put energy into to the next level.
Right.
And I know a lot of entrepreneurs think like that as well too. There's this book, I forgot what it's called. A really good friend of mine, it's called The Gap and the Gain.
Send it to me.
I will. The Gap and the Gain, she told me to read it. The reason why is because with entrepreneurs and very high-level people that want to become successful, they never take a look at what they've gained and accomplished. They always take a look at where they want to go to and why am I not getting to that next level.
Right, and you beat yourself up.
Beat yourself up, and I beat myself about that every single day.
Actually, I read in a book recently about basically what you do is you write down 50 of your top accomplishments and send to yourself every day. Because we do get in a psychological pattern of that. The world trains us to be like that. You know, so being able to remove yourself and put yourself in your own space, in your own world, to where you have your own processing system of celebrating and you know what I'm saying, and being proud, patting yourself on the back, you know, not being too self-centered, but you have to remember what you've done. And I think in the world that we live in today, we compare and we're looking at what somebody else does.
Social media,
you're looking at somebody's car, you're looking at somebody's wife, you're looking at their home, and all this falsified stuff, man. And you know, we remove ourselves from, once again, what we talked about, the journey. You know,
journey.
I'm sure all of us have accomplished great things if you go back and you look at where you started from. So, and as you develop and you start to appreciate the journey and you appreciate what you've gone through, that allows you to kind of set yourself up. It gives you a stronger foundation to stand on and say, hey, look, if I did all this and I didn't know this, why can't I do that?
Right.
It just takes me to take action towards that, towards that venture or towards that idea that I'm looking to go. And the only thing you got to do is you just got to build knowledge and start taking steps towards it. Universal law, if you're taking action towards what your goal is, eventually it has to come to life.
The universe.
Even if you fall 100%, you fall at 20 or 30%, you still won.
Right.
Versus you not even trying to give it a shot.
Right.
Still a win.
Yeah, I totally agree. You know, and I tell myself day in and day out, like, why can't I be happy about what I've done and accomplished? It's because I want to get to the next level. I really want to get to the next level, and the next level for me is always challenging myself. Challenge myself to get into that next level, get in this, get there, get this other location, get a new truck, get into this tax bracket. So things like that, I just want to keep pushing myself. But I find myself having issues to be able to take a look at my accomplishments. But I don't know.
And a little bit off of business too. I think that. And I'm not going to go too deep in that. One of the things that I found over the couple of years that I think has been one of the great part of my life experience is you got to find what makes you, there's other things besides money and business and material gains that determine success.
Fulfill you.
Yeah, you have to learn to fulfill yourself. And I think that if you don't, I think you ride a lot more
Waves.
Up and down waves. The money controls your emotions, and you can't be like that if you want to be successful. Life is it's like a river or an ocean that's got waves, and you don't never see the earth tripping. It's just like this. So you got to be able to ride that wave up and down. And if everything is riding on the statistics of your business or your bank account or the car you had, whenever your curve goes down, you're going to fall off even more. You're going to crash harder because you're going to be worried about how people look at you. You're going to be worried about what your mom thought, your auntie or your friends, the social media likes and stuff like that. You got to be able to ride these waves, and that can only come when you understand life from a different perspective, life fulfillment.
Right. Makes sense. Where do you see yourself, yourself, or also the business 5 to 10 years from now?
Man, I'm excited. I got a couple things that I'm working on, and I really want to work with my kids down the line. I think truck it residential will be hopefully something that I want to pass down to family or my sons or something or pass it down. I'm moving more into the trucking side, freight, logistics, and stuff like that, which I plan to definitely have a huge hand in that side of the business. I'm working with a partner right now, and I got an opportunity to work with a company called Rolling 360. We got some good things rolling on the way, so we will have trucker, freight, and logistics coming soon. Partnering with Rolling 360. Definitely going to be doing a lot of real estate. I'm definitely going to capitalize on this downturn of this real estate. This will be one of the greatest times to get rich in real estate if you can get your hands on capital to be able to purchase. So I think that's where a lot of my focus is. I also want to get into. One of my passions is people, man. I love to see people get ahead. I love to see people win. I love to motivate, inspire. So I hope that that my business and my skill set and my life journey reaches new levels to where I can go back and teach and help and help others get to the next level. Motivate, whether it's courses, whether I'm mentorship.
On the educational side.
And I definitely want to be educating. But in order to educate, you have to become a master at your craft. So I'm really trying to
You're not trying to be one of them fraud influencers
that
give you fake and you pay for their courses.
I'm not trying. No. I want to be able to sit down, and if there's 10 people in the room, because I've been through so many different things, I can at least connect with 5 of them. And if I can't connect with 5 of them, I got a man right here that can connect with them, and we can actually really help these people get to the next level.
I like it. It's great. I think those 5, 10-year, even those short-term goals are super important to make sure that you're on course and to make sure you're always looking back at those goals.
Can I say this just to interrupt?
Yep.
My goals changed when they became not more just about me and what I financially or my materialistic gain. This is my journey and what I've came through in life over the past couple of years, which has been a great experience. I lost a lot, but it's been a great experience. Now my journey is more so of becoming the best me, the most educated, the most skilled, and the most best me, so that I can provide opportunity. I can teach, or I can grow. And becoming the best me might be to become the best salesperson, maybe the best in marketing, so I can grow my business to this level to where I can employ 100 people and get funding for 100, you know, because I have 100 employees or these type of things. But within that, I can be able to pass down my energy or who I am, or, you know, my story to these people so they build, you know, they have confidence, you know, in life in a different way. So it's not just more so like I want to make $15 million.
Right.
I'm thinking about more how many people I can touch.
Love it.
You know, how great can I be so I can, you know, help and touch.
I like it. I like it. So kind of coming to the end of, you know, podcast, I like to kind of ask, you know, certain questions, a couple quick fire questions.
Right.
You know, it doesn't have to pertain to business, but it could be personal, certain things. So first question is, what do you like to do on your free time?
Oh, what I like to do in my free time? My new fun hobby is, I like to work out. Most people know I like to work out. But the second one is, I suck at it, but like to run.
There you go. I'm a runner too.
Right. Yeah, I watch your miles all the time. Yeah, Steve's a runner.
What's one book you would recommend to an entrepreneur that's just starting out?
Just starting out. That's a good one. I'm psychological. You know, I would say The Science of Getting Rich.
Science of Getting Rich. By who?
Can I look it up real quick?
No, it's good. It's all right.
Science of Getting Rich. It's a very, very short book, but it's just about shaping your mind.
Okay. What's the most unusual, weirdest item you've ever moved or disposed of?
Moved or disposed of?
Dead body?
You the police. Jesus Christ, there's so many different things.
Just the thing that popped up to your head.
Disposed of. That's a hard one, man. Like, I got so many things running through my head right now. I mean, there's so much dirty, crappy stuff now.
I bet, yeah. Next question, then.
Yeah, next question.
Ketchup or mustard?
Mustard all day.
Favorite food to eat?
Seafood.
Favorite Filipino food?
Favorite Filipino food?
You live in Daly City. Come on now.
Right. I would have to roll with the lumpias. I like the lumpias. I mean, that's too... You know, that's too cliche. I was thinking about something else, but...
It's all good.
Right.
No worries. But, man, you know, I appreciate you coming on here, coming on the podcast. It was good chatting up with you. Good catching up with you.
Definitely.
You know, you're such a huge pillar from my sales background, also kind of grooming me to, you know, getting into business as well, too. So I appreciate you.
Always, bro. Appreciate you, bro.
All right, man. Thank you.
Rock and roll.